Förflärfunga, mantrot Bankable. With Dale and Tony breaking all the rules. Talking tech, biz, and straight up chaos. Quick fire guests, oh yeah, we slay those.
Good afternoon. My name is Dale Rodriguez, and this is Flobonga Monthrothicue. With me today, I've got my awesome host,
Tony Stevenson,
and our fantastic guest,
Indi.
banging Indi. Just so you know, you passed the vibe check already. So people don't know this, but when we go live, we can hear the jingle in the background, and some people just sit there, they don't do anything, or they look confused. Sometimes they look angry. But you were like bopping along, getting to the groove.
This is
You
good.
passed the vibe check. Thank you, Indi, for being cool. Right. Let's start with the serious questions. Indi, who is you and what do you do?
I wish I could answer all of that serious question, but I think I'm still figuring it out. Who is me at the moment? You're finding me at the point where I still do the podcast. So most people may have heard of it. It's a little accounting tech podcast and cheesy
Never heard
name,
of it.
Digi-Tools in Accrual world. Started that and then built out the network a bit more, digital disruptors, and I think you're finding me at a point where I'm really focused on that. I'm doing some fractional work with a handful of others, and also just looking at like my short-term, mid-term, and long-term hedges, which I was telling you a little bit about. But yeah, so that's where you're finding me.
Okay. Can we go back into time before you were so nebulous? What is your background?
So I've always been in tech, and I've always been at the sort of edge of tech where you can't really Google the thing because you're still trying to figure out what it might be. And so it's new enough, but it has like a very cool core to it. And I think that's where, coming into this particular industry in accounting, I went, first for an accounting tech company that was strict, just like in the kind of practice management, the accounts production, those sorts of like tools in Capium. I moved on from there to AREX, which I took a posting at. It was a bit of a risk. It was going into lending. It was more around of receivables, and then we went deeper into working capital and lending. Stayed with them, and when I joined them again, it was at the series raise, so it was being an investment reference for them. And then moving on from there, I ended up exiting that company to a banking infrastructure company, which I then went on to become the CEO of. So it was, it was like, I think that's probably like took me deeper into BaaS infrastructure, the cross-section of like credit and credit cards, debit cards, really understanding program management and how to implement cross-border payment structures, and doing clever things with working capital and tokenization, and turning data into something that you could have as a tradable asset class and get money for. So if you could do it with your invoices, why couldn't you do it with your supplier invoices? Why couldn't you do it with your banking data and your transaction data? So yeah, that's up until last May.
Cool. Two things. I'm going to read out a comment by Sam Green because we flexed up on the screen, but some people listen and don't watch. Sam Green, great to see FM getting real life celebrities on the show. Fair play. And now, that was a great laugh, by the way. Let's get back to that later. What is the best thing and what is the worst thing about being a CEO?
The best thing about being a CEO.
I know the way you've gone for the best bit and then really had to think about it.
Yeah, because it's there are things that you go, what's the best thing really? It's a lot. There's a lot of weight that comes with it. And I think that one of the things that, provided you've got the right sort of energy and people around you, it can feel like playing the best game of tennis. So it can feel like you're really able to get into flow. And I think that's something that really depends on the circumstance. And I think, that was really good because you can you're charting a course, you're charting a direction, you have, obviously you have a lot of stakeholders to manage. I had at Bankable a shed ton because Bankable was a 14-year-old organization that had taken on secured debt, had been running with a previous CEO that I was inheriting from. So, you know, and that also goes hand in hand with the worst thing, because you are managing that legacy and you are steeped in corporate governance, that you don't really have all of the pieces of the puzzle that have been laid out. So you're trying to track
I have
that
a dumb
down.
question. Because some of our audience aren't in
Yeah.
the accounting, bookkeeping, or fintech space, right?
Yeah.
And the name is really obvious. What is Bankable?
What was
Or what
Bankable?
was Bankable?
What was Bankable? Bankable
Mm.
was a banking infrastructure company. So if you think of companies like, you've seen these spend management companies that have like, they issue expense cards. What you needed to do below that. So if you take your card out right now, you take your credit card and you look at the debit card, and it will say who it was issued by on the back of the card. And then you'll have a load of things that are a part of that as well. So the issuer isn't always the person that's giving you the card. You've got someone that will issue a bank account. You'll have someone that's also doing the processing of all the transactions. You'll have someone that's issuing the physical plastic and the approval of that physical plastic. You'll have someone that's doing like the compliance layer around that, the transactions. So all of that together makes you get this physical card and allows it to then tap and pay and stuff. So what Bankable did is they pulled all of those people together, all those vendors together, and they had one API that then allowed you to have a whole program and allowed you to issue cards, whether it was, you know, in one country, in one jurisdiction, or in cross-border. And that was what Bankable did in a nutshell. And the bet that they took on AREX was really getting the working capital piece synced up to that, so that you didn't have to rely on having, you know, someone providing the credit, for instance, that was an external third party. Instead, you could use your own working capital, you could use your own invoices or some other collateral in the business to create what would be like a hybrid bank overdraft for yourself in some way, and then link it to a card. So that was Bankable.
Question for the viewers: is anyone else in awe and slightly distracted by how still Tony was sitting? I thought he had frozen for a minute there. It was very impressive. Is that just me? Like, anyone else? No, just me.
I'm glad you said that, because when I watch myself back on the thing, so like, I'm an unusual person and I quite like watching myself back on this sort of stuff. The thing that just strikes me so much is how much I move my head around all the time and how much I sit like this most of the time with my head dropped to one side. So I'm really trying, while I'm just soaking in all the really super interesting stuff that Indy's chatting about, just trying to like,
you're trying to focus, you're listening.
I'm trying to get the percentage of time up that I'm basically clippable, because I'm not doing this.
Oh, is it all about the clips for you? Is that what it is?
Or a clip family, yeah, that's it.
All right, fine.
I never tried to concentrate on that. I think I've got such an animated face, and in particular, like when we do the podcast, I look back and I think, oh, for God's sakes, Indy, you know, I often have that face that's always got like a different expression. I'm like, but then I just think, sack it, I don't care. Like, in the age of AI, I want to be like the real face rather than something that's like these, you know, weird AI generated if influencers or someone that just sits like static, perfect still. Like, there are like, I want to be imperfect.
Yeah, Tony, stop being AI. That's what Indy's saying.
Yeah,
Stop being
don't
AI,
be
Tony.
AI.
Don't be an NPC,
influenced.
Tony. Come on, Tony.
Just
That's not
be
what Indy
your
said.
whole
I'm putting
self.
words in her mouth. I think we need a silly question. Tony, do you want to ask a silly question, or should I ask a silly question?
I've given up. We're near 8-9 minutes in. I haven't asked a question yet. I'm going to go with me. So we'll do the coffee tea question. Do you drink coffee or tea, Indy?
No.
You don't? There's a third route.
What beverage of
What
choice
beverage
is hot do you drink?
then?
If you drink hot drinks.
I am a child, unfortunately, these days. Oh no, I can't say it's a child. That's not true. I have, for some reason, just taken to only drinking cacao or hot chocolates. Like, that is it. So if it's not like 90%, most of the time I'm like, it's not even, you know, I'll drop down to maybe a 68% if I feel like in that kind of childish mode of like, oh, I quite fancy.
So you're a chocolate
sweet.
snob.
Yeah.
I am a chocolate snob. I will get the 100% blend, and I will do, you know, depending on the day, bit more milk, bit less milk, but that's it. I mean, I can't do coffee or tea anymore, unfortunately. I used to love it, but It's
Okay.
gone.
Can we do retrospective, Tony? Maybe like when you
We
did
could.
drink coffee and tea.
So I was thinking
Wait.
about going in the opposite direction. We can do that as well, but I'm just interested to just pull on this thread. So,
Go for it.
so like, talk us through the creation of your perfect hot chocolate, then, Indy. I'm interested.
Yeah. Okay. So
We need to zoom in for this. Hold on.
Zoom in.
There we go.
Just get rid of us.
not really.
No,
That's
no,
get
like
rid of us.
really technical.
Get rid of us. Just have Indy on the screen.
There we go.
That's the one. That's the one I want.
There we go. Perfect hot chocolate from
We're
Indy.
now
Let's go.
we're now NPCs, and Indy, over to you.
Yeah. Small little pot. I do like occasionally, if I really want to go a bit more creative, then I'll add like a half an oat and a half a coconut, because there's a bit of creaminess in that. So milks.
The milks, yeah.
These are the milks. So or just a if I'm really like, I'm feeling quite it's like a pasta day, then I'll just go with a full oat milk, full fat oat milk, and then a tablespoon of my favorite type of cacao on that day. So it could be, I think 100% is quite good. But yeah, sometimes you can get some other ones that are like nice blend. Peruvian would be my favorite. Peruvian cacao.
Okay.
Peruvian dark chocolate is the best. And then a teaspoon of honey. And just get my little frother, mix the two together, wait about 2 minutes. That's it.
Do you have one of the like the viral hotel chocolat velvetizer things? No,
I don't do any of that. I'm afraid. I'm old school. Pot and a frother, and just I like to. Okay, that's like, because it depends on the chocolate I want to get. I feel like I'm committing to Hotel Chocolat with that. And I don't want to commit to them. I want to go every direction.
I want to be brand free. I want to take this in the direction that I want it to go in, not the one that Hotel Chocolat made me go
Two
in.
things. You said you're old school. If you're old school, you use cow's milk. Second of all, you refer to oat milk as full fat. What? I need to learn about these milks, because I just regularly drink.
Yeah,
How can oat milk be full fat?
First off, old school, before the society sold you and told you that milk was okay to drink.
Delicious.
Yeah. Okay. We never used to drink that much milk. Okay. If we want to go true old school, we got to go back to the farm.
Maybe water.
I need to see some big cows or buffaloes ever. I mean, for me, actually, in India, that's what you had. And you'd have the buffaloes and the milk, and you'd have that was old school. So we can't really,
Yes, we can.
We haven't.
Cow's milk has definitely been drunk longer than oat milk, because oat milk can only be made through pressing through commercial processes.
No, that's not true. When I was a child, my mum used to make us, she would do that back then. You'd strain it with water. It's quite simple to make, but I don't know, maybe that's a cultural thing as well. She also did, well, anyway, that we won't go into that. So I was about to say something.
I'm willing to concede this point. This might be my ignorance, so you're right. This might be my lack of
non-milk drinker over there.
But yeah, I feel like that's the one thing. And then I forgot your second question. So
full fat oat milk. Well, how's there diet oat milk? Surely it's just oats and that's it.
Yeah,
oats
I
and
think
water.
it's just how much you want to water it down. It's always the same way, isn't it? So how much you want to water anything down, and how much, because the thing is with some oat milks in particular, I think the way it's done is because it's with oil, and that's the point, is like, how much do you want to use of that? I'm not saying it's great for you, by the way, and that's why I think it's good to blend in the coconut or the almond milk sometimes, so you don't have so much of that. Yeah.
I like so this is how the show works, right? Is we speak to people and they give us interesting insights into things that we've not thought about, or take things in a different direction. So the coffee tea question now becomes the coffee tea hot chocolate question, and has 3 prongs to it. So
AI, clip that part up. Tony wants to be clipped up. Let's clip up his mistakes.
A toffee or a key. Yeah.
There we go. You're welcome, buddy. Also, we have amazing people on our show like yourselves who actually are very good at business, and we talk for like 10-15 minutes about business, and you give insights. What we've learned from our audience is they say they want your brain. They say they want your business acumen. They don't. They want to hear about your hot chocolate. They want to hear about who you'd punch in the face. They want to hear these things. Speaking of which, Indy, if there's one fictional character you could punch in the face and get away with no repercussions, which fictional character would you punch in the face?
Oh my God. Fictional character.
Or open hand slap if you're not a puncher.
There was this book that I read, but no one's gonna know the book, and I can't even
Go niche.
remember.
This is a very niche show sometimes, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, it was a Tim. I want to say it was a Tim Crabbe book. I
Okay.
used to really like. I do this thing where I buy a book from an
Mm.
author, and then I want to buy another book that they've
Yes.
written,
Mhm.
just to just really feel their style and how, you know, it differs. So I bought this amazing book by Tim Crabbe called The Rider, which teaches you a lot about like the winner's mindset and trying to come first and how painful that is when you come second. And then I bought this other book by him, which I can't remember for the life of me, because clearly when I don't like something, I just suppress that really deep. It's how much I hated the book that I end up, as soon as I finished it, I gave it away and I was like, you can keep this. I don't want it. I
Wow.
just don't want it. So I don't even remember the book name. And I keep all my books. And, you know, in general, I do give them out, but I'll always replace them. This one I never replaced. In it, there was just this psychopath, and he was horrible, and it
Mm.
just scared the bejesus out of me. So I'd punch him in the face. I'd also do what he did in the book, which is to nail him shut into an abandoned house with boards over him so he could never escape. That would be it.
Wow. This guy must have been a horrible, horrible person, because you're really nice, and that's really
Yeah,
dark.
yeah, that was like, ooh.
When you do read, are you reading purely for pleasure, or are you reading business books? And if the latter, can you recommend a business book to our audience?
I read for both. Definitely, you know, like a big reader. So yeah, it can self-help, I can, you know, business, I can fiction it up, I can, yeah, I love reading. So I think yeah. And then the book that I'd probably recommend, I think is a book that in this day and age, in particular with how things are changing with technology and how quickly it feels like, you know, suddenly like there's massive job losses, and then there's, oh, what are we all going to do, and, you know, things are shifting and changing, is the hard thing about hard things. So it's by Ben Horowitz. It's a really
Okay.
good book, and I think it just teaches you those live circumstances of where to have grit and how to have like that creativity, and also how to manage a team as you're going through those transitions, and how difficult it is to keep everyone with you. And I think in my time at Bankable, I mean, that was a book that I read and stole from the ex-AREX CEO, actually. So I still have his exact copy.
Commandeered. Commandeered applies. You've got authority to take it. You didn't steal it. That's naughty. Commandeered. You've got authority to take it.
Yeah, yes, I saved it.
Like right now, you're being like a rapper on a rap album where they like, you know, they name all their crimes and then wonder why they go to police. Like they name all the crimes they've done. Don't do that on your rap album. Don't do that on FM. Don't air
Yeah,
your crimes on this show.
right. Exactly. No,
Tony and I
but
can't protect you.
We can't.
yeah.
No. I
And
reckon
I don't know about
Maybe.
Tony, but I will never do a crime, time for a crime I didn't commit, for no one.
For no one.
No one, mate. Seriously, you do the crime, you do the time.
I've got a question, Indy.
Yeah.
Your work with the digital disruptors, obviously, as a team, you get to sit of a week and peer into the sort of bleeding edge of our accounting technology world. And as you alluded to, there seems to be like 20 years of change happening in 20 minutes at the moment. For the longest time, it felt like we would sort of kind of maybe not going around in circles, but sort of having similar conversations. And all of a sudden, in the last, few months, it seems to have exploded. What's the stuff that is really interesting you at the moment? What's the stuff that you perhaps think is a bit overhyped? Like, just keen on your take, because obviously you sit with Ryan and John and your wider community of co-hosts and yarn on about this stuff. So I'm just keen on your take on it all.
Yeah, I think overhyped, and there is a lot that's coming out in the pace of like, what is AI, and I think that bit is, for me, is just like, okay, a lot of it seems to be rinse and repeating. Oh, now we've got AI, and it will just be like some part that you're like, I don't know, it's a different type of chat, or it's something that you're just like, okay, did we really need the AI for that? I think there's some things that are interesting that we had seen happening, maybe like, you know, the bigger technologies and that control and shift over like ownership of the data, that control and shift of access to the data, and the control and shift of knowing that they've got like years of context added to that data by accountants, and how that's going to then compress a lot of different businesses in the space that were. We were saying this, I mean, like, I think for the last few years, so many businesses, good afternoon, so
Hello.
many businesses that maybe don't, they are features, they were features for a
Yeah,
long
yeah.
time, and they became businesses that, like, I look back at something like actually, I look back at something like a Go proposal, and if it was to start now, and you'd think, would it have ever got the same valuation from Sage that it got, and the sale price, and what, you know, what was made out of that in this day and age? Probably not. And
Cool.
actually, you know, that's the sort of thing that now is it's sort of bleeding edge, it's bleeding heart. It's a bit sad because we know that we're going to see more compression, and I think, you know, the bigger tech players taking that stance that they can really have a lot more ownership and autonomy, and maybe there will be uncomfortable land grab that may happen, you know, in certain areas. But yeah, I think then you hear about some really, really good novel cases of AI where you're like, that's actually really meaningful. That would really help if someone could actually solve for that. Like we were listening and talking about a cross-border tax and how to solve for that. We thought that would be really good if they've got the context that they've taken, and then, you know, it's 90 years worth of context with the data that they've got, and they've got a really good intersect. That'd be really helpful. Things like, you know, you see edge cases where you think it's very deep, very niche, and I think that those ones will survive and do really well. But yeah, I think for everyone else, I think that the difficulty now is seeing how the commercial model will survive for SaaS, and the commercial model will evolve, and if that's sustainable, because you're paying for an LLM to then, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
like there's some technology cost there with your technology. It's like that. It's how do you make that commercial model sustainable, where people don't want to pay in the same way that they did per seat or per this or per that, you know.
There's quite a
And
lot of chat
sustainable
about the
Sure.
pricing stuff at the moment, isn't there? I saw the Digit CEO announce that they're going to basically be pricing on if we can't get you to a level of automation that we promise you, you'll get it for free because you're having to do the work, and then you'll pay us if the automation is quite a high bar, at 95%, I think was the figure quoted, which is quite a departure from where we sit at the moment of pay for the license and that's it, right? And I guess that's underpinned by the extra infrastructure costs that this sort of stuff comes with, which is it's an interesting shift, right? That's did make me sit and ponder that for a while.
Yeah, we just covered it on the latest, or, you know, the pod that I recorded this morning. So we were talking about whether like that's truly going to work and whether it's actually sustainable, because this could just be a really great marketing ploy to get more people in and get the attention. But at the same time, it's like, is it actually sustainable for the most complex clients? Probably not. What will, if we just roll that forward, what will that actually mean for them? You know, the accountant that is using it and the pricing that they're then trying to factor. You know, I get it that the usage-based pricing was slightly more complicated because there's no fixed outcome and you're not really able to predict for it. But I think, yeah, it's just in practice, what we are just seeing is that, like, we thought before last year people were going to change their pricing models, and Leash came quite quickly with that earlier this year because they moved towards outcome-based pricing. We thought that was very clever and how they've done that, and they didn't go overboard with, you know, what the promise looked like. It just made sense for what they were trying to deliver.
Yeah.
This is slightly more complex because, like you said, they've added in there a KPI that says if it's 95% accurate, if not, then no fee, no outcome, no fee, or something like that.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a luxury that only established fintech providers can afford? Because I can imagine if you were a startup or a scale up and you told your investors we're going to do it on like a no win, no fee basis, they'd be like, no, no. Your runway is this. We need money faster. So I can imagine someone like Sage and like Unleashed who are established, they can go, yes, we can actually burn that while we're doing the
Yeah.
project and then get paid. But if you were starting up, I can't imagine an investor saying, yeah, we're not scheduled to make any money until like 3 years time and only if we're successful. Like, do you mean that doesn't
Yeah.
work with a normal investment model?
It's tough. It depends on how you're looking at getting investment these days, I guess. That's a completely different question. I mean, I don't know if people are going to the, I don't even think that you've got a lot of options at the moment where people are kind of taking a deep breath to see what happens. And unless you've got a specific niche or something that's like a very compelling hook, I don't know if you're going to get the same kind of investment. The other one, like, we are seeing crazy stories still coming out of, like, you know, raises that are being done. I think I saw one yesterday with like someone that had done like it's almost like a Tide lookalike. I think it was called C something. I should really remember the name of it, but it's basically, it was like, you know, your invoices, your issuing of a card and stuff that like was all just like the Tide business proposition. And actually, I think one of the backers of it was once the CEO of Tide and the CEO of Revolut, so Lawrence Krieger, and there was quite a hefty, they managed to raise like 7.9 million, I think it was, in seed. It was fairly decent, I thought.
Yeah.
But again, is that truly just an AI play? I don't think so. That was more around like the setting up the accounts and having a banking and having all of those extra bits, and AI was like infused in all of it to help with the automation, because BaaS used to be very expensive, banking infrastructure and the cost of all this stuff. God, it was, you know, when we quoted on programs that wanted to be done, it was like a race to the bottom. Payments was like you had, you know, someone was charging you 10p for this, 5p for that, and you had to like piece it all together to then try and make it all work within the numbers. And you're all kind of competing for making sure that you've got enough interchange to cover the transaction costs.
Tony, before I move on in my brain, because that's how it works, anything else you want to pull on this particular thread before I change directions?
The trouble with it is just there's hours of conversation there. So in the interest of like us not running on till 6 o'clock and, you know, having jobs to do and other things to concern ourselves with, no, let's move on. But I hope that we can have Indi on again in the future and we can just keep pulling on those threads, because there's plenty of threads to pull on, right?
All right, somewhat adjacent. Digital Disruptors, Digi-Tools, and Accrual World. One of my favorite business shows. I'm not just saying that because you're on the show. It made my job much easier at Creston Reeves because you guys had done a lot of research. My question to you is, like, how did you guys get some of the good scoops? Because you guys often had news about the industry and providers. How did you get that, and how did you validate it? Because some of the things you guys exposed, I'd be surprised the vendor told you. I'm not questioning your methods or anything, but like, you have such good relationships, and I like you'd have a story and I'm like, oh, that happened, like, but they knew about it 2 days before. It's incredible. How do you guys have that relationship with vendors?
And actually, we knew about it 2 days. We record like sometimes 2 weeks before. So actually, like, we would be quite early, and I would know that. I knew, okay, I was like, it's a bit of a pain because, you know, the recording lead time, but we didn't want to ever be in that race with like the bigger media companies to then just be like, okay, we need to have like it out immediately. We wanted to sweat the detail of it. So I think that's why we would try and, we actually, like, to be honest with you, we appeal to most people to say, just tell us low-key, confidentially, you know, and they know we're interested in it. I think once people know that you're interested and you're able to talk on it, they volunteer the information to you. They'll come and say, okay, have you heard of this? And I would often find it's like, I'd go to something, or, you know, we would collectively go to something, and people would assume that we already knew about whatever the subject matter was, or they had come across something and they'd say, what's your perspective on ABC? And you'd say, run it past me again, like, just so that we're on the same page. And was some like, I think there was one time we got into really hot water with it. There was one time where I thought, okay, because we were, you know, emailed straight away by the company's lawyer to say that we needed to like
No, not
pull it
good.
all, and we were not allowed to name, and we were not allowed to do a thing, otherwise they'd sue us. So that was like, okay,
That
maybe we've got to
that
reel it
white
down.
hot sweat that comes over you where you're like, oh dear, something's
Yeah.
gone wrong.
Yeah, I think all of us got quite angry at that time. I think that was very frustrating because there was a there was a sort of veiled threat that was made towards at the time John in his role at the firm, that said, well, if you know, if this goes any further, then we're going to have to start like looking into whether you use our software or because you're
Oh,
clients. And it was very
okay.
veiled, but
Yeah.
it was direct enough that you
Mm.
could say, okay. And I remember thinking at that point, it's the first time I thought that John was actually a rock star, because he just his response was like, fine, bring it on, go for it.
I can just imagine him
And he
saying
was
that
like,
as
I
well.
don't
Yeah.
care. Yeah, like, because you've got nothing on us, and if that's what you're going to do, then we will expose that too. So it was quite like, okay, he just really poked them in the eye. But again, we never really, we kind of know where we've got to tread lightly. You've got to be aware that, you know, you have to double check, triple check, and really know. And in that particular case, we actually had recorded videos that showed us that we were right,
Yeah.
that we had called it right. And that vendor still operates today, and still, you know, is doing
Yep.
well today, still recommended by lots of people today. And I know that they don't probably like me very much, and I never get a coffee bag from them, so you know, there's no love lost there. But I, you know, as a result, I think yeah, you kind of in the uncomfortable space of nobody really, or maybe this is my inner dialogue. No, I'm never really sure if people really actually want to talk to me, or if it's like a kind of a necessary must in some moments, because, you know, they kind of want to influence what you want to say, but at the same time, you are your own person, your own opinion. So
Yeah, it's a fine line. It's something that I've observed in the accounting, bookkeeping, and fintech industry. I think there are more people needed like you and the Digi team to call this stuff out. But you've also got to be careful with what you're saying, because you will have your own biases. And like you say, you've got to back up what you say with proof. One of the things that used to irk me is someone would say, I like this, and there's someone who's prolific in the industry. And lots of people like, oh, so and so says they like it, and then they will go buy it. It's like, that's a dumb way to make purchasing decisions. And again, my
yeah,
observation is the relationship between fintech vendors and accountants and bookkeepers is very symbiotic, and there is a delicate balance in there. On both sides, don't bite the hand that feeds you, but at the same time, someone actually does have to have the voice to call out some of the nonsense, which I think you guys do quite well, and respectfully as well, right? Every time I watch the show, there's evidence to what you say. It's not just I'm John Toon and I like this. It's like, I'm John Toon, I did this, my team tested this, and Ryan thought this, and you disagree. And it's like, it gives a contrast, which I think is needed, because as you've explained, and you, Tony, explained, the SaaS industry, AI has just gone.
yeah.
Yeah, people need that voice of reason.
I just want people to make better decisions. That's all. I just want people to like have, and you know, that's why the podcast was there, really. I mean, actually, that's not true. The reason the podcast initially started was because I was just like, why don't you recommend software? Damn you, accountants. I want to know the answer. Why don't you do it? It's good for your clients. Tell me. And it was like, that was probably, you could tell that tone in probably the first 5-6 episodes was me then really pushing the door to understand. And also I wanted it to be like, you know, it's not because I was thinking anything other than we've got to evolve. You know, this industry is going to evolve, and I want everyone to go along with that current. So now I think we've evolved it to the extent that we're like, it's so messy, it's so noisy, there's just too much going on, and it's just draining. And so that's why we continue, because there was a point last year, and John and Ryan won't mind me saying this as well, like, you know, myself, John, Ryan and Lee, we all met, and I said, you know, I don't know, after last year, I really had just gone through the walls, and I came out and I thought, I don't know if I want to carry anything on for a while. I just thought, maybe we need to turn it off. Maybe just not because there was anything wrong with it. It was just where I was personally. And we all kind of met and we had like, you know, a real hot heart and just trying to figure it out, like, what is the point of it? And now I feel like I got the mojo back for it. And you know, I think that was just because of this stuff, because it's like so noisy, because it's so like messy and ugly, and there's just too much like gimmick out there. And I thought, you know what, I do want to carry on, because I think that's sort of like makes me feel a little bit more useful in life as well.
I think that like to your point, Indy, about the noise, right? Like, it's when you sit sort of, I guess, Dale, you've done this, right? And your role was probably afforded at KR like more time and scope to go and investigate this stuff, because that was your role, right? Was the technology piece, right? But if you take the sort of the I don't want to use the word average because I don't mean it like that, but like an accountant or bookkeeper who is concerned with like accounting and bookkeeping on a day-to-day basis, and technology is part of what they do, it's not the whole sole focus of their role or the majority focus of their role, the time and the ability to be able to like kind of get comfortable with not just like what's been and gone and is in place, but also like what's coming down the track now and what's coming down the, you know, the track with, you know, kind of the AI wave of stuff that's hitting us now. Like, it's so hard to know like where to invest your time. And like you can see over the years that I've been involved with this, that the industry's bar has risen steadily upwards in terms of like their ability to be able to kind of go, well, do you know what, I'm not going to jump straight into that one, even though it seems great, because actually you know, I don't know if they're going to be around for a while. Like, you know, is their pricing, does it look sustainable? Like, you know, how's that going to work? And that, but like to have people to help inform that decision, and to basically just be able to like consolidate all of that information and knowledge into you know, a panel that they can listen to that helps to inform that decision, I think is as valuable, if not more valuable now than it's ever been. Because like when you boil it down, like there's not that many problems that an accounting and bookkeeping firm faces, and like if you look at it from here's the problem that we face, or here's the activity that we need to undertake, and here's a piece of technology or two that can help with that. Like, if you take that approach, like there is a core of them that you can go and choose from, and actually that's achievable without tons of like lead time and investment. But like to try and keep on top of what's coming, what's gone, what's changed. And to your point as well, Indy, about that you said earlier about the bundling and unbundling, the old Jim Rohn quote, right? So you could buy two bits of, so we've talked about this on panels before, Dale, like you could buy two bits of software that had quite a distinct gap between them.
Love Apple devices.
There's a clip, right?
Clip that up.
Yeah, and then
you were making a very serious point.
I know. And then the fireworks, yeah. And then you sort of sit there and look at it. That's just pointless, isn't it? I might as well just wind it back. She tries it again. No,
let's go there. You make a very serious point about bundling and unbundling. And what, can I use some examples? Can I interject? So, example, right? Approval Max and Dext. They were very separate systems. Now they have very similar overlay. Is that what you're kind of the point you're making, Tony?
My point was that you could buy these two bits of software and then sort of like come back round in your annual review for software if you had one the following year and go, oh, do you know what? Actually, there were two completely separate bits of software and now they overlap. So I've got to make a choice. Do they overlap a sufficiently small amount that it's worth buying both subscriptions? Which one's better? Which one fits in with my workflow better? And then suddenly you're then having to kind of keep track of everything, because we all know, like, how often do you go into a piece of software, even as the people that we are, go into a piece of software and go, I'm going to go and poke around and see what new stuff I've missed in the last 6 months.
Do you know who's annoyingly good at that? Do you know who's really annoyingly good at that, Tony?
Who?
You. Free agent. Yeah, every so often, like 3 months time, 6 months time, friends have got a new feature. I'm like, this actually works really, really well. It's very frustrating. Good job, free agent. But over the last 2 years, you guys have like literally added stuff that is like what your clients want, what the customers need, like the non-bookkeepers and accountants. It's like, and it hasn't become too nebulous just yet. It's been just the right amount. So kudos to you, Tony and free agent.
Oh, I'm going to tell you, the MTD stuff we're bringing out at the moment is like so good. so
Yeah.
They pay you to say that. So
they actually don't, like, because you know me, I don't. No, they don't pay me to say it because I do this independently, right? And you know, I don't actually talk about free agent very much on here.
I know
but
you
I
don't.
want to give credit where it's due for there, and anyone that is listening,
You know
that
what,
hasn't checked it out, go check it out if you're an accountant or bookkeeper, because it is so good.
You got your commission. Well done.
Yeah, we cover a lot of the free agent stuff, and I think that the changes are so practical. We were literally just on the last episode that I shot with Billy, and we were talking about it, and we said, like, you know what's so good about that is that you kind of like I think it's a warm blanket, and I think that's quite cool. Kevin said that you were just much more edgier and sharp, and I was like, you're really sharp, like on it. And I was like, well, yeah, okay. So like we have different comparisons, but both same end result, which is that like it's just sticking to the core, not trying to be too flashy, not trying to kind of like wow and you know, blow everyone away with like loads of AI gimmick chat. It's just keeping to like what actually needs to be delivered.
We have been far too serious this episode. It's been too much insights. Indy,
No,
been
I
too good.
actually
How
I
dare you
felt
be so
that.
good and insightful? It's been too serious. And
I felt
now I'm going to
this
ask you lots of silly
really-
questions. Indy, if you're a biscuit, what kind of biscuit you'd be that portrays your personality and why? But don't just pick your favorite biscuit.
Oh, okay. Why'd you have to say the last bit? Oh, do you remember?
No.
Yeah, I think. Do you remember BNBN?
Yeah,
Do you remember
BNBN.
BNBN? I love a
Yeah.
BNBN.
I love BNBN.
Yeah, I think that it's like not. It's kind of like it's got like some. It's got some hard edges, but it's, you know, like a kind of soft inner middle and a very smiley face.
Okay, that's a really good answer. Thank you. Okay, here's another thing that connects us all. I think we all have kids. Is that right?
Yes.
How do you balance work life and family life, Indy?
God, I don't. I feel like I wish I could say that I try very, very hard, but it's just the same as probably most. It's a juggle, and it has been like that for years because my daughter, yeah, like I became a single parent back when she was 4, and it was just a slog. I think it was just those years of just, you know, I have a partner now, but you know, for around, you know, like 5-6 years of that was just like absolutely trying to balance, you know, every single second. And so it was just everything having to be lined up. And I remember Sundays would be the day that I just had to like hours of prep just to make sure you could get through the week. And then you'd hear something ridiculous like, oh, it's something at the school, you know, like it's odd sock day, or it's like, you know,
Yep, preach.
Well,
something,
okay.
and you're like, yeah, and you're like, oh my god, I haven't, you know, and like you so you're constantly chasing, makes it a lot of fun, but I always hold on to the idea that one day everything will be quiet, one day everything will be clean, the car will always be clean, and the house will, you know, not today, but one day. So I just think enjoy it.
Okay, question to you both. Has there been a moment where your kids or kid has said something that's made you angry and proud at the same time? I can have a situation of my own I could share if you guys want to listen to inspire you. I've got 2.
Yeah.
One of them was literally last week. Took my small human out for ice cream because she'd been well behaved the weekend. Went to McDonald's, got some ice cream. Ended up going to the park and playing like good daddy daughter time for good 2 hours. Make believe, tag, fantastic. Now she is toilet trained and she's fantastic, but every so often she goes, oh, I need to go to the toilet because she's a kid. She's getting carried away, right? So we need to go. So we jump in the car, race back home. She distracts herself in the back of the car with a colouring book. Fantastic, great small human. She's now so engrossed in the colouring book as we're on the driveway. I'm like, come on, kid, you need to get out. You need to go to the toilet, remember? She goes, Daddy, that's not a priority for me right now. And the way she did it, yeah, I was angry and proud because that was a fantastic line to use, but also get out of the chuffing car. Like, and right? Yeah, exactly. And I wanted to laugh as well because that was so gangster. That was so gangster. That's not a priority for me right now. Now, I've never said that to her. Her mother's never said that to her. I don't know who said that, but the timing she did it and the look she gave me as well, this 6-year-old little child, she almost rolled her eyes at me. I was like, but also it's amazing. And I couldn't laugh because I was being serious daddy at the moment. So if you've had an incident like this, please share with the class.
I've got one. I'm not sure it made me angry, but it was very funny. My daughter is 3, and she has always been extremely good at speaking from a really young age. And
I wonder where she gets that from.
Aw.
No, certainly not me. Coffee. So she is also, she's got quite a high bar for like people, and she's quite disparaging about most people, and she goes to a childminder, and we were she has a little girl who is there as well, who she's never been a huge fan of, and we were talking to her one day, and I said, and she's got a cousin who's got the same name as this little girl. I won't say the name because we're not it's not her name to share, but so I said I'll use the name Sarah because it's not her name. And I said, oh, did you have a nice time with Sarah? And she went, yeah, really good. And I was like, Sarah, at the childminders, not your cousin Sarah. And she went, ugh, Sarah. she went, ugh, Sarah's a stinker. And she was 2 at the time. This was quite some time ago now, which was I just
The savagery is
and
exceptional.
I think it was I can't remember who it was, some comedian or something I was watching, and she was talking about her children, and she said that they used to have this rule in the house, which was basically like you could say whatever you wanted, and it could be as rude or as disrespectful or as whatever as you wanted in the house. And if you made the parent laugh with the thing, pass, got away with it. But if you said something really rude and the parent didn't laugh, boom, like punished for it, like you'd be told off, which I always thought was quite an interesting take on risk management as a child, just how hard you go on it. But yeah, just that was one enduring memory that I shall cherish forever. So I was obviously, slightly annoyed with her for being rude about her trade, but also just I couldn't help it. It was just
That's very good.
Right,
Did you have a similar memory or?
I think I'm at that, like my daughter's like she's now 11, so I've got so many, but at the same time, in the moment you're like, there's just that thing, because the thing is she's at that age now where she really is genuinely challenging, and she is really trying to like bite down a little bit more on some things, and you just got to be really careful, because it's sort of like it could go one way or another, and I'm just like, oh, okay. So I've gotten to a point where I just really like tried to be really, really patient and just not react at all. So it's very much like we just keep going. We're in that dance now where we just keep going. When something's happening, it's going to keep going, until she's like, oh, you want me to do that? It's like there'll be things that she does, like I think the latest thing I'll tell you. So she got a big folder full of like things that she needed to do for SATs practice, and she was like, yeah, okay, I'll do this for SATs practice. And then it's like she lost it, like, and I was like, okay, but you meant to do it over 10 days, and this was like a big deal, like when she's like, I mean, okay, so I just about, like, I managed to get photocopies. I'm begging, I'm trying to get like something from other parents just over the holidays, and it's just like the scrabbling around and the doing of it, and she's just like not really, just not bothered, and it's like, and then she does it all, and she's like, but I don't need to do it all because I already know this all, so it's all like, it's fine. It's like,
so you're gonna get straight A's then.
And it's really annoying because she did get them all right, so it was just like you're watching going,
but you also want to, you're trying to teach her to learn how to learn, right? Not just that you know everything, because
learn how to learn,
learn how to learn,
and
relearn it just in case.
Yeah, I don't care about the result, I care about the effort. So I always say to her, I don't care about, and she does know that, so she does say, like, I know you just care about me actually just like trying. I say, if I don't see the try, then I get upset, because I'm like, it's very easy to think that the board game is stacked this way and then it goes the other way, and it's, you know.
Yeah.
You're right. There is a point where your natural intelligence may not carry you, and if you haven't learned how to deal with that or learn or train yourself,
Yeah,
that's when you see
yeah,
some young people, 16, 17, where it gets too far, and they burn out right at their young age because they're used to being bright and clever. No, you're right. They have to learn the resilience to actually learn and how to learn and accept criticism. And so yeah, 100% agree with you.
yeah. We're in the stage of like, I don't know if your kid's old enough to play. We played Junior Monopoly when she was younger. We're now playing Monopoly, and it's like,
Yeah.
and we're not taking it easy. And
No,
I
you've got to
mean,
learn the hard way. Yeah.
you know, yeah. And it's like
Pay your rent, little one. Pay your rent.
she's
That's
doing
real life.
really
That's real
well.
life.
Quite a lot.
Mummy's the banker as well. She's got the expertise.
Yeah.
Chop,
Yeah,
chop,
yeah,
pay
yeah,
me.
yeah.
Like, go. Let's go.
Yeah, no, but she's absolutely spanking.
How
me,
frequently do you have to
absolutely.
use the phrase, I was the CEO of a banking infrastructure company?
You know what? Actually, I did the other day when I was like, you know, because you're the bank. I give out the money, so I'm like, when they pass go 200, you know, make sure it's done. And then it was like, oh, you know, you didn't give me the 200, and I was like, she didn't actually. My partner said, you didn't give me the 200. I gave you the 200. You just forgotten. No, you didn't. Yes, I did. Count your money out. We remember what you last had, so count your money out right now. I will go hard on this. I will die on this hill. And he was like, oh. And I said, I swear on my mother's life, I gave you 200. Okay. And he went, oh my God, this is, my daughter went, Mummy, you're going a bit, you know, and I said, no, in banking, you have,
Chill out, Mum.
banking, you have one reputation and only one reputation, and you
Mhm.
guard that reputation. So, you know what?
Mhm.
I'm willing to fight you on this. I gave you 200, count your money. And he was like, you did give me 200. Exactly that.
That's right. That's right. You don't accuse a banker of fraud unless you've got evidence. What is your favorite Monopoly piece? Everyone's got their favorite. Mine's cliche. I'm the car. I love being the car. The
I
thimble is
think
the
mine's
worst.
the
Why
old
bother?
boot. Oh, well, I am currently the thimble, so that's a bit harsh. I mean, she
Sorry.
gave it me though because she called it the kiss. But she doesn't know it's called a thimble. She was like, "Do you want the kiss?" And I was like, "The thimble, Peter Pan. You know, they only know the kiss. Right? Do you
Oh,
remember
yeah.
Peter Pan, the kiss?"
Yeah.
I'd say the old boot. Although this one doesn't have an old boot, which is a shame.
Sad times. Tony, what's your Monopoly piece?
The little doggy.
Oh, the doggy. Yeah. Yeah.
As we approach the top of the hour, I'm thinking maybe we do the quickfire questions and we do them a bit early today.
Let's do quickfire and then get Indy to ask us questions.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. I'm usually in that seat, so that would feel more comfortable.
Exactly. Dale has to mute himself because he can't help himself. So I shall ask you 10 quickfire questions from my bank of questions, and you can answer them quickly. And then we'll spin out anyone's afterwards because we've got a bit of extra time. So, are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Good. What is one skill you wish you had but you don't?
What, a real one, like, or a fictitious one?
Interpret the question however you like, Indy.
I'd like to, you know, I'd like to be able to cold read a bit better. Cold read people.
Okay. Favorite country that you have ever visited?
Costa Rica.
Got rained off that one in COVID and never got to go. Yet. What is your favorite food?
It's pretty straightforward. Indian food. I mean, why not? It's the best.
It's good. It's very good. What is your spirit animal?
I think it's a tiger.
Okay. Mine's a
Yeah.
wombat. Wombat, in case you're interested. What's your favorite workout?
I do a lot of this walking workout, grow with Joe sort of thing on, like, actually, I think you just got to get the hours in. So it just works. Put the kid down, do something.
Yeah. The book that you have recommended the most often?
And I actually will recommend, I'm happy I can recommend this again. It's called Breath by James Nestor, and I recommend everyone should read it because you will guarantee yourself 8 years of life back. So I just want everyone to read it, and I've given it out 12 times so far. I have bought that book, and I've just been giving it out as I'm reading it each time. And so 100% buy this book. I swear by it.
Cool. Thank you. I feel like I have it somewhere. That's why I was looking. So your most hated grammatical error or mispronounced word?
Specific.
Snails! Specifically.
Yeah. Specific. It's so annoying.
Oh yeah, espresso. What is your favorite podcast? This aside, obviously, and Digital Disruptors. You can say your own podcast if you want.
I don't know. I think I'm going to just go with the standard Diary of a CEO because it's just I'm not saying that he's amazing, but I like the guests. So, and I've listened to most of the guests and not dedicated myself to their specific podcasts, but just the ones and twos. And I go back to him because he has a variety. So,
good answer. I like it too. Do you have any celebrity lookalikes?
I don't think so. Although, no, I can't think of one. If somebody else can tell me that one, that would be good.
Okay.
Imagine I was such a baller. I'd be like, I am the celebrity.
I've got a story. I shared a story on here a little while ago, and I've got an update to that story that I'll share at a later point on the subject of celebrity lookalikes. And the final question for today is, who should we have on the show? Actually, I've got one more question.
I think you've had quite a lot of good caliber of people on the show, and I would say I quite liked him. If you haven't already had Dan Boyles on, I quite liked him for the Hello AI and his thing that he's doing. I think he just he's very sage energy, so very cool.
Yeah, we had him on in January, was it? I think. Yeah, he was great. We'll have him on again. And the final question is, who is your current favourite, Ryan, John, or Lee?
Oh my God, I can't choose. Don't make me do that. That's really hard.
I'm amazed that you didn't have an instant answer for that question.
No,
I would have thought you would
because
have
they're
been.
all my favourites.
All equally annoying. That's why.
No, they're all brilliant. I am so grateful for the energy I have around me at this time, and I honestly I couldn't stress that enough. Like, they're all brilliant.
Okay, good answer. Very diplomatic. Very diplomatic. That's it. That's the end of the quickfires.
Really? Okay.
Indy, it's your turn to ask us some questions. Anything you want to ask, we will answer or decline, to be honest.
Okay. All right. What's your favourite? I'm going to go. Should I go boring? I'll go boring first. What's your favourite app that's out there at the moment that's making sense of reality for you? Can be anything. Can be work.
Just eat because I'm lazy.
Just
yeah.
I looked at my app time the other day. My phone pinged up. I was like, "You spent way too much time on Just Eat." Oh dear.
I'm going to carry on with that theme, but in the opposite direction. So, my favorite app at the moment, which is so like old school, but it's because I'm actually using it at the moment, is MyFitnessPal. Just because I am in a 107-day streak on it, and like it doesn't matter how many times I try and eyeball things or like go without some form of accountability to myself, like I will just eat badly unless I track what I eat. It's just that I have to be honest with myself. Like every single period of time where I've been in control of my weight has been like, aside from maybe the first time I lost some weight, has been in conjunction with tracking what I eat in some form or other. So yeah, it's an old one, but it is brutally effective. Other food tracking apps, I'm sure, are available. Thank you.
You're looking good too. You can see it in your face.
Lost a bit of weight.
What if you could do a do-over? What language would you go back and learn?
Japanese. I'm learning it at the moment very slowly, but Japanese.
Yeah, pre the age of 8.
Spanish.
Yeah, Spanish.
Partly just because my wife and I did a reasonable amount of South American travel, and that covers quite a lot of that obviously, and then like you get good coverage with Spanish, I think, and also just like the sound of it. And we did try and learn a little bit of it while we were traveling, and actually did quite a good job of it, considering that we'd landed in South America expecting there to be a little more English spoken than there actually was. And so we had to learn pretty quickly to get by. But yeah, Spanish without question.
Yeah, I like Spanish. It's great. I mean, I like Spain. Obviously, AREX was based in Spain, so that's why I had a lot of fun. And then my final question is going to be, if you had to like roll forward your life and say where you're going to basically end up, like, you know, retiring, you want to be like, that's the place that I end in. Where are you going to end? Like, I mean, specific. It's got to be town, country.
You know the scene from Scarface with Tony Montana?
Yeah.
Joking, I'm not going to do that, obviously.
Because that is quite psychopathic.
Very, I know. Are you asking me what the dream is of the ending, as it were?
Yeah.
The dream would be to own property in London, in the Kentish countryside, and America, and live 6 months in the UK and 6 months in America.
Which part of America, though? There's a big difference.
Okay, it will probably be West Coast, like California way.
Okay.
Yeah, we're currently in the process of relocating to the southwest, so Cornwall will be that, but that's coupled with the ability to travel at least 4 months of the year. So when it's cold and wet and miserable, go and find somewhere that's not cold and wet and miserable. But yeah, that would be the base.
Nice.
Cool.
Okay.
Indy, you've been an awesome guest. Thank you. Like the perfect balance of business acumen, fun, humoring us. We'd love to have you back again at some point. If we haven't scared you away, that would be fantastic. Top tier guest. Thank you. I'm going to hit end stream.
Yeah.
Everyone just smile for a minute.